pays off.
Indeed. All right. So you're hiding away from the mess that happened. Um, Masquerade broken at this point. As you're trying to hide away, Norman, the Nosferatu, happens to be inside the relevant building you're trying to hide. He opens his apartment and he tells you, quickly, get in.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll get in. But yeah, she wasn't trying to hide in the building. She was trying to get to the roof to get rid of the last final guy that was up there. But
Alright.
in this case, it doesn't really matter. Like she'll probably like if the Nosferatu wants something from me, I should probably just go ahead and just leave it. So
Well, it's fair to point out, perhaps your character knowledge wouldn't know this at the time, but the guys on the roof were pretty much out of
right,
sight, probably far
yeah,
away. Not
cool.
too far that your abilities wouldn't be able to catch them. You
Yeah,
know,
but
but
it's already out in the open. It's better to just
things have
if they're
escalated to
not
a
there, they're not
point.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so she'll head inside.
The Nosferatu quickly closes the door, locks it, um, and he turns round. You're in quite of a trouble, it seems.
I'm done with just letting things as they are. These humans need to die.
Isn't that a breach of our dear code?
Well, the thing is, they already broke it twice.
Who's they? Hold on. I don't think we're following each other quite well here.
Right. So, a couple of nights ago, these guys, Second Inquisition, vampire hunters, right?
Right.
They attacked me. I got away. I didn't kill any of them. Went to talk with the Baron. Well, we have, this peace, blah, 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 peace. We won't do anything yet, blah, blah, blah. Fine. So I wait. And now they corner me and Tatiana in this alley, preparing to kill us. Well, not broad daylight, broad nightlight. I try and, escape the situation without casualties, but as she kind of looks down at her clothes, you can see that didn't exactly go according to plan.
Norman crosses the room and makes a beeline to one of the windows which is curtained down. He kind of just peers over, looks down and say, "Oh yeah, I kind of saw the commotion going on." Pulls back the drapes, looks back at you. Yeah, not a mess I would want to get myself into. So, I'm guessing you're gonna have to feel the wrath of your Baron now?
He's dead.
Dead.
Yeah. Because I don't know what went over him, but he invited, Athena, right? The Toreador that's in my coterie. She's got a obsessive sire. He went to go look for her here because the prince had told him to do so. And then contacted one of my other coterie members, Frank. We had tried to lure him here and capture him, but, other things happened that had a more of a priority. But yes, we receive a phone call from the Baron saying, quickly come here. Athena's here with me. We need help. We arrive with Athena's sire holding a weapon with dragon's breath ammunition. I'm sure you are aware of what this means.
Yeah, kind of. He steps into the other room. Can I get you something?
Can he? How hungry am I? I'm pretty sure I'm pretty hungry. Eh, average. Well, if you've got any blood to share, I will not say no.
Right. He comes out, tosses a blood bag at you.
And perhaps something that's not covered in guts and blood.
It's a blood bag. Calm down. I'm not like you alley cats. He takes a seat, rips open the top, and just holds it as best as he could, and he starts slurping it between his
Yeah.
teeth.
She was asking for like if he had any clean clothes in this apartment.
Oh, I mean, he. Let me just down this, will you? It's not easy to put down. As he kind of
Cheers. And she'll
gulp it down.
just, yeah, she just kind of squeeze it like a Capra Sun, you know?
He gets off the couch. What size are you again?
uh, medium, I guess.
I,
It's been a while since I went shopping.
I'm sure the guy I took this place from was quite slim, so yeah, he's got a few mediums going on. He goes into another room, different from the previous one that he went in. You're associating them as like kitchen, and now this is bedroom, perhaps.
Yeah.
Comes out with two folded um, pair of jeans and what looks like to be a shirt.
Yeah.
He's got a hoodie too, if you're interested, and he kind of just lays it on the coffee table in front of you.
Yeah. Thanks. So, as I was saying,
Right.
we enter the room. He's there. Barrons staked on the floor. Ethan tries to do something, and as I'm trying to understand the situation,
Hold on, who's Ethan? I don't know an Ethan here.
Miles, I don't know who Ethan is either.
Right. Don't know where that came from.
So Miles tries to do something that ends up frenzying and doing some draining a corpse or whatever. It was a massacre. So yeah, this Athena's sire shoots the Baron. Baron's dead. We captured the sire. Me and Tachana went outside to get some blood, and then there they were. 12 members of the Second Inquisition, ready to kill us in this place of all places. Just all these people around. I frankly quite had it. They say apparently we broke it first, but well, I've got some theories about that. But before I continue, and she kind of looks up and she kind of lifts up the clothes and says, "What's your stake in all this? I'll just be around the corner." And she'll go like around the corner and start putting on the clothes.
He remains seated. He doesn't turn his head, and he raises a bit his voice, obviously, so you can hear him. My stake in all of this is like, you guys fucked everything up. Well, by you guys, I
No,
mean,
no, no. I'm just gonna interrupt you there.
I'm just saying the rest of you kindred, all of you kindred.
Right.
That's the you, not you, you know, your clan or whatever. None of
Good.
your kindred and stuff, but all kindred, all fucked it all up for me. I'm here chilling my life, just minding my own business. I side with no Baron. I side with no nothing, nothing. I'm just a lone wolf, and now you just made things difficult for me. And then again, I repeat, you as in all of you. Like, this
I
place has
understand.
gone to fucking hell.
Yeah, and you know, I've had it about here. And she says two here, but you can't actually see anything. But she's actually like holding up the hand with, the people in charge not actually doing anything. So
Well,
I've already started to take things into my own hands, and perhaps you are interested in helping things get back on rails.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Malta was a quiet place, easy to get around. No one knows you unless you want to be known. So, and me being who I am, appearance wise, of course, not
Right?
not much of my kind run around here.
No.
I mean, it leaves me with two choices really. Either finally kind of bite the gun and just say freak, fuck it and choose a side, or just go back to where I came from. Go back to the UK.
Well, surely not London,
Oh fuck London.
Norman.
No way, not London. Definitely not London.
Well, if it comes down to you picking a side, I may have an interesting proposition for you.
Well, the fact that you're using the words interesting kind of intrigues me because only people who use interesting are the people who know each other, and we don't really know each other. So tell me, what is your interesting proposition?
My interesting proposition is that our coterie is going to take Pieta, now with the Baron absent.
Wait, I mean, hold on. You mean to say you're taking the snake's head right out from underneath? Oh, good lord. Okay. So, again, what's the proposition here?
I haven't had much time to scout the area, and I've got family coming in about, and she looks at her phone, 4.5 hours. I will let you get to know me a little bit. And she walks back around the corner and she kind of adjusted. She's got the hoodie back up. She's got the
You see
sunglasses.
Norman has seated himself on the kitchen counter, and in front of him he has a laptop switched on and open, and you can see it's plugged to what looks like to you like a modem device, so
Mm.
to speak. And he looks over, light of the screen shining on his face is like, right, go on.
I am going to strengthen the presence of a certain Italian family in Pieta. Because, you see, my ex Baron wasn't really my Baron. My Baron is back in Italy, if you catch my drift. I see a chance, I'm taking it, and if you would like to give me a tour of the area, I would certainly owe you a favor. And if you'd like, if you end up picking a side, I'd be more than happy to give you a haven in this territory where you can go back to being chill, as you put it. Minding your own business, digging up some juicy secrets. I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine.
Look, I know things are done differently on the island here, but so it's just a tour of Pietà that you want.
I want to know the important spots. Where was the previous Baron living? Strategic points. Just somewhere where I can put my family, a cozy welcome for them.
I could do that. Simple enough. He types on the keyboard a few things. And he looks up to you and he goes, come over here for a second. I want to show you something.
Sure. She'll walk over.
On the screen, you see he has Linux on his desktop. And you notice that there are photographs and an ongoing footage. The photographs are that of Frank and bear with me a moment, let me just grab the name. So you see photographs of Mark and Frank.
Right.
The photograph is clearly taken from outside of the building and it's taken through the window. And it looks like an office. You've not seen this office before. Norman points out, it's like, that's Mark's office. Took it about, give or take, like 3 or 4 nights ago. The footage that's ongoing is that of Mark already sitting at the desk, which is different from the office photo. And he points at that footage like, you see that? That is Mark inside Pietà HQ already. So we have a bit of a problem with your little proposition because it looks like Mark holds the keys to the place.
Well, and she kind of starts to grin. Mark is going to die. So that's not going to be a problem at all. He is the one who started this fucking mess. She's kind of like gripping her hands like in a fist.
Alright, so it seems like we're taking out another head of a snake.
And I might just know of someone who can help us out. Because, Norman, I know you are independent. I know you just want to go do your thing and live your own life. You don't care for Anarchs, you don't care for Camarilla. So this is why I am being forthcoming with you. Aside from the fact that I'm trying to create some goodwill for later down the line if you choose to stay here. I'm going to be transparent with you.
Look, Mumbles is it, right?
Mm.
Or that's what you go by, at least. My only problem with your proposition is one thing. You understand me well enough, it seems. My only fear, and I use the word fear lightly, is on the matter of it sounds to me like at some point, a few nights in, be it months, weeks, or years, you might call in and pull a string on me. And I don't like strings, as you probably understand. So I just want to make sure the stringed attachments are just a misunderstanding of communication that we're having right now. So,
Well, the only string would be leading from yours to mine, as I will owe you a favor,
yeah,
not the other way around.
okay. Yeah, that's not how I roll here. I don't roll with boons. I don't roll with you owe me. I just want a clean kind of contract of negotiation, and where it has an ends means, and we just shake hands and go our separate ways. So, if you don't mind, I would just like to say I'm passing on the whole Haven thing. I appreciate the thought, but I'm good without one.
Fair enough. Then what would you like in exchange for the touristic route of Pieta and the places to see?
Well, since you've confirmed my suspicions, not that I hadn't thought of it myself, but you've confirmed them. Since Mark is the reason why tits gone up, so to speak,
Hmm.
him being out of the picture, making sure, you know, that anything that started with him ends with him too, will be enough for me to say, cool. I can put my boots up on the table and stretch my legs and say, back to my good old life. Is that
I
something
see.
you can achieve with his dust?
What do you mean with his dust?
You know,
You want his ashes?
so to speak. Not literally, but yeah, I'd like him in
Ah,
ashes.
so would I. And, you know, I wasn't made to play well with others. Let's just say that.
You and I have that in common.
Huh. I am just only slightly better looking.
He gives you a really bad look and he's like, well, you haven't really answered my question though. Is his death going to stop everything that started with him? Or is there more to clean up?
Mumbles will think and says, well, with his death, perhaps the Camarilla may persuade the Second Inquisition to stop their attacks, but frankly, I would rather have them out. But it is not my call to make. But him being dead will certainly stop new situations like these coming up. You remember the shooting on Frank's nightclub?
Of course.
Funny would that be that happened right exactly after we had refused Mark's offer to become his puppet rulers. Funny should that be that we meet a outsourced Camarilla enforcer looking into Mark's private affairs, noting that he is convincing the Second Inquisition that we've already broke this peace pact. Funny should it be that Mark is breaking the Masquerade by killing humans and paying other humans to make it look like a vampire killed them. And all these funny things, Norman, and I'm not really laughing.
I was about to say, where's the punchline of the joke?
Well, the punchline is that I just may be able to convince the Camarilla to help me to get rid of this bastard. Or I do it on my own. That's how I'm used to it. I might do it with my family. But I will need to know where he is, if he is not already in Pieta.
Well, tonight is there, as you saw. Where he's going to be tomorrow night, I guess I'm gonna have to let you know somehow, because I'm gonna give you a tour. Unless you want to postpone the day to a later night.
No. Let's do it now.
Alright. You want to do it tonight? I like you, Mumbles. He starts packing the stuff, disconnecting everything, and starts putting things into a backpack that he has. Hood up, backpack on his back.
Yeah,
Well,
almost will do the same.
if you don't mind, follow me.
Yep.
He unlocks the door, waits for you to pass him.
Yeah, I shall say, time to scout the battleground.
As you pass him, he closes the door, and with a key, he locks. Pockets the key. Alright. Let's go.
Just one more thing before we head off.
What's that?
What do you actually know about Mark? Do you have anything that could help me convince the Camarilla to help me put his ashes in the wind?
I've got a few things on Mark. Enough to point out his guilt. But never thought of using it, to be honest, because I never thought of what I wanted from the Camarillas, not that they have much to give. So perhaps you have a better trade, I guess, in that case. We'll talk about the exchange on our way, shall we?
Agreed.
As he leads you downstairs and he takes the fire exit, he passes on from a bike, a ninja bike. He passes on a helmet, puts it on his head, gets on. I hope you're okay with speed. I believe you rode one of these in the past.
I have.
All right. Switches on the engine. You feel the rattling
Yeah.
of the ninja underneath you as he swirls off fast and off into the streets. Not much conversation as you pass down the night streets, and in a matter of no time, since St. Julian's, Portugal, and Pietà are quite close, he takes the back streets, passing from between houses and such, so he doesn't take the main road, the common road, so avoids traffic and or the like. Eventually, he comes and he slows down in front of a cemetery, switches the bike off, puts down the safety leg, tilts the bike, and gets off, takes the helmet off, stretches out a hand to take yours.
Oh, what's he doing? What?
He stretches his hand out to take your helmet.
Ah, yeah, sure. Like, she'll give it to him.
He opens the bottom seat, packs both, locks it down. All right. It should be clear at this time of night. Let's take a tour, shall we? And he slowly starts showing you different areas. Pieta's quite small, and he starts explaining, like, unless you're from around here, like, you'd notice if you just come out from that street, you're into Hamrun. Passing out from this street,
Mm-hmm.
you're going into Msida, and from there, you're ending up on the same street to go to Valletta Floriana, so to speak. You pass in front of this building, which has its entrance in a corner, and he looks up, is like, this is the Nationalists building, the blue political alliance.
Right.
Right. So strings are attached from here for the humankind.
Yes.
Now, if we take down the street to the right here, as you can see, and he points further down into a really modern building where it's not too high, it's about like 4 stories tall with reflective glass. It's like that is the Labour Party's red political party on the island. As you can see, they're a throw stone away from each other, which makes it easier to control these imbeciles. And that is how Anarchs have been managing to control media and all that stuff. So, something you might want to consider now that your Baron is gone to get things under control when it comes to exposing your Masquerade breach.
Exactly.
He takes the right street, which is where he pointed out to the building, and he starts walking down. And after passing maybe 3 or 4 buildings, he kind of stops in front of what looks like a normal detached house. And this was the HQ of the Baron of Pietà.
I see.
And that inside, he points out to the lit room. That's where Mark is right now. So,
Momos will do like a mocking wave. She's just really pissed off at this stage.
so yeah, I could keep showing you further around, but I mean, that's the most important highlights I can show you.
Right. And she kind of looks around and says, where is the police situation situated in this town?
No, they don't have one here. They rely on the Hamrun police station, from my understanding, but I could be wrong. But yeah, the police station of Hamrun is not that far from here.
Interesting. Do you know anything about this building itself?
Well, not really. I can tell you it has security cameras, as I showed you at my humble temporary abode.
Right.
So, yeah, it's constantly under surveillance by whoever needs to surveil. No sense of security apart from that. And he points at the Alberta flashing red light. It's got, whenever unoccupied, that's switched off. Switched on. So we have an alarm system to deal with if you want to break in, which I could do.
Right, that was going to be my next question. Would you be able to help us in disable the cameras?
Oh, that's easy. I just need somewhere to plug in, though. My VPN doesn't work without being plugged in. So
Then let's find somewhere nearby.
excuse me, somewhere nearby. I don't have a temporary abode here. I need to
Well,
find one of my places to, you know, plug in and such.
right.
Preferably with a
Okay,
good connection.
I see. Right. In that case, almost kind of thinks, and she'll pick up her family, right? And they might just go straight on through and just do it like this night. And what's is a nicer welcome than a little bit of a hostile takeover, mafia style. That's kind of how she's feeling right now. So she will say, would we be able to execute this tonight?
I could definitely set up somewhere and help you from afar. Here, he takes off one of the shoulders from his backpack and reaches to the front part of the zipper and hands out a burner phone. There's only
I,
one saved number on that, and that's mine. You
I
can contact
understand.
me on that, and I can contact you on that. Once our dealings
Fantastic.
are done, be sure to dispose of the SIM separately from the phone.
I know how it goes. But
Yeah,
thank you for reminding me anyway.
yeah,
It's
one,
best to be thorough.
yeah, one can't be too careful.
Right. So, now, in regards to that information,
Right. Let's go back to the cemetery, shall we? As he
let's.
turns around and starts walking away. He, the minute you come in front of the cemetery, which is locked, he just leaps up into the air, landing on top of the wall, which is about, give or take, just 10 feet high.
Yeah.
And then he just drops on the other side. You coming?
Yeah, she'll try and, because, yeah, she'll try and climb and hop over the fence.
Okay. So give me that athletics check, shall we?
Yeah. Let me just check if I've got anything to make that easier for me. Where is my V5 core book? There it is. Celerity.
I mean, the difficulty is 2, so.
Ah, all right. Um, yeah, let's just give it a try.
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that.
4 successes.
Right. So you jump over. You see Norman already on the headstone, bringing out his laptop and entering his passwords onto the Linux screen. Does a couple of clicks, enters a few folders, and he brings up a couple of files. Right. So, Frank.
Mark. Although, if you want something to share about Mark, I would not say no.
Yeah, you see, the only problem is that in order to get the whole picture, you have to understand Frank's side of the story first.
I see.
So, when Frank had turned and embraced kindredhood, things were a bit messy. His his sire didn't live to see another year of her life. Now,
But
this
he's been saying that Laura is his sire, so that's a lie.
yes, unfortunately, it is.
Yeah, makes sense. I see.
The actual Baron of St. Julian's was actually another kindred, and that kindred had made a promise to Mark that he would have been next in line. Unfortunately, with the way things went down, they took out the Baron and made a deal amongst themselves that Gregory will take that position, which infuriated Mark. At
So
least
who took this former Baron down?
it was the person that Frank calls his sire nowadays, and Gregory. They took that Baron down.
Right.
Something about not keeping his word or something like that. And
Okay.
after killing Frank's actual sire, it turned a bit personal. Obviously, because
Ah,
Mark was not involved in all of this, Mark decided to turn Camarilla, calling BS on the Anarchs. But going from Anarch to Camarilla's quite a back step for someone. If you've got something like this, pointing at the laptop, technology at your hands, freedom to express yourself and live in the open as well as much as you can, of course. It's hard to live in the shadows of the camera and secrecy and all that stuff. So
right.
Frank has been planning for a while to turn things around. Obviously, he played his pieces right and patiently. And I guess this is where we have our first problem. And he brings up the incident of what went down in St. Julian's about a month ago.
I have a question.
Yeah?
I would assume in this scenario, Frank and Mark would want to work together. Why? Because what I'm not understanding is Gregory and Laura killed the former Baron of St. Julian's. The former Baron of St. Julian's had killed Frank's original sire, correct?
Correct.
Mark was supposed to take his place. So what does Frank want with Mark?
You have to understand, when this all went down, Frank was just a baby kindred. So he wasn't as knowledgeable or as powerful as he is today, as we all know him to be. With all his connections and asking for favors, and he wasn't into the whole investigative private detective stuff.
Right.
Well, he had started to, and that was kind of his role, but it was very much a junior position.
Mm-hmm.
He only knew of Mark as one of the other kindred that was under the previous Baron, not of the same cohort.
Right.
So their relationship wasn't really a relationship. Frank perhaps never really knew of Mark that well. In fact, I believe the first time they ever got properly introduced, Mark had already turned Camarilla.
Yeah. Just for ease, what was this previous Baron's name?
That one, my dear, would be the name. Give me a second, let me just pull up the
Yeah.
details. That was Christopher.
Christopher. And do you actually know what Frank's original sire was named?
Yeah,
Just curious.
unfortunately, I don't have that information saved in my memory.
That makes sense. Not to worry. All right.
But yeah,
Sorry for interrupting.
no, not
Please
at
do go
all.
on.
So yeah, Frank got to know Mark when he was already Camarilla. Now, Mark, being who he is and what he is, was immediately given the position to look over Valletta immediately. So he's been in that seat for quite a while
Yeah.
as sheriff, or he seemed to be trusted that much by his prince. Anyways, I was saying about a month ago, right? And the incident of what happened down in St. Julian's. This band was brought down and they were kindred and they were about to expose kindredhood to the population through their music and whatnot. Kind of like a cliche Queen of the Damned situation, if you know what I mean.
Not really.
Right, so
Is that a pop culture thing?
yes, it is. Queen of the Damned was all about this particular vampire who was fed up of living in the shadows, and he used music and entertainment to finally expose his kindred and the like. They were pretty much gonna do the same thing. This was sponsored by the Baron of Pietà. So Mark and the Baron of Pietà had that understanding that this was gonna go down. He promised the Baron of Pietà that kindreds can walk amongst mortals and perhaps maybe someday even rule them. But it all went south when Frank, Paul, and what's the other fellow's name? Your private detective, you mentioned him earlier.
Miles.
Miles, yes, that one. They took down the situation. Of course, leaving it with a bit of a sore note with the kindred of Rabat, because they're involved heavily in this operation as they're, the whole goons.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, Mark's plan failed, and Mark knew at that point that this was not going to work by playing nice or by the rules in the gray area, so he had to up his game. He was already in the process, and he switches over to Imrihel's industrial area.
Okay.
He had started making the concoction to start getting kindred to walk into the light. The whole thing kind of went down as a Project Twilight irony. Again, another pop culture reference.
That's I do know of. It is laughable.
But yeah, he got the inspiration from there though. shining vampires. How do you make a vampire shine? Reflect sunlight. Reflecting sunlight means you can walk in sunlight because you're reflecting it. And therefore the serum was created. Not perfect, but nonetheless, it was ready for market. And this was Mark's next plan, which, as you can see, unfolded into what we have today. A whole chaotic system of exposing us. The serum proved to be temperamental. Unless the dosages are right, you don't actually get to walk in sunlight for long before the crystals harden with the heat of the sun, and you just, while supposedly explode into flames and turn into ashes, you turn into the crystal forms as your body is decomposed.
Right. Which is not a masquerade breach at all.
Well, you know how the church is tax free, and unfortunately they do, despite that they don't admit it, are quite greedy for money. I think it's one of the only religions that actually asks for money, from my knowledge. You get to sell these pieces of crystals or diamonds or whatever, and you get quite a good turnover, you know, coin for them.
And in comes the Second Inquisition as an interested party.
Catch on fast. So he pulls up a footage quickly on his laptop, which is clearly done from a handheld device. I managed to infiltrate, as I was curious what was going on. Not that I could ever walk in sunlight with this, he points out at his face. But I was curious nonetheless. And that's when I found out kindred were tied down and waited till sunrise to just blow up into crystals, which they would, as you can see, and you see a guy after a horrific scene of a kindred that's tied down that bursts into flames, and instead of his place, a pile of this shiny substance rolls off the surface, and they dust it carefully into a pan. One guy comes out and checks it and gives a thumbs up in the footage. That is what they're doing, and that's...
God, so...
They're using unknown kindreds, perhaps those that come on holiday or something, and from my understanding, they want to keep it that way. Catching the unknown kindred. And from my understanding, that's when they kind of were in hunt for Tatiana.
Or exactly, or the new arrivals, I was about to say.
So,
That's why he asked Athena to help look for her. This is really bad.
he closes all the windows on his laptop and shuts it down and puts it into the backpack as he does so. That's the best I can tell you about Frank, which brings us up to speed.
But is Frank in on this operation along with Mark?
I don't think so. From my understanding, Frank is playing the limelines on what's best for him, and so far, no offers seem to be good enough to take.
I see.
So far his alliances still remain with your cohort. Unless Mark really offers him the carrot that he desires, I don't think Frank is gonna sway that easy away from his true family, so to speak, which is you guys.
I wonder.
Just pray that Mark doesn't offer something that is the good carrots. that Frank desires.
Oh, I will be praying for Frank in that regard. And Mark's going to have a very hard time offering anything when he's ashes in the wind.
I can see myself now inside another temporary humble abode with my feet stretched, but another day to look forward to.
All right. So, I understand the connection between Frank and Mark. Now, I've already given you little tidbits of what we know about Mark, how he keeps liking to stir up trouble, call himself the Baron of Valletta, and telling humans to kill other humans and making it seem like a kindred killing. Stuff like this. What else have you found out? And name your price if you deem it necessary.
Norman thinks for a moment. Look, you promised me that things would go back to normal. For
Well,
for
I,
me.
I said that nothing new is going to be cropping up, and I will say that in this territory that will hopefully be ours tonight, I will make sure things do go back to normal. That I can say. But for the rest of Malta, I cannot guarantee anything.
I don't know what Mark's really planning with this whole trying to turn you against each other situation. Because I think that's what it really boils down to in the end for him.
Indeed.
Especially with your Baron gone, I don't see any point, but I guess no one knows that information just yet. It's news to me,
Yes.
at least.
It happened maybe an hour ago. It is simply our coterie and you that know now. And I would assume that Laura would be more than happy to take his place.
Yeah, I don't think so, knowing Laura. But I guess that's a bridge you guys will have to cross when you come to it, and that's not my place.
It is not your problem, no.
No, not at all. Look, with Mark out of the picture, I guess the whole system that he's building up would go up in smoke. No leader, and no one to take his place because no one knows what he's really up to or what his real ambitions and plans are going to be once everything unfolds. But I guess it's a start, so he looks down at his watch. Is like, your guys are landing in 4.5 hours, you said, but at this point it looks like in 3. How about we head up to the airport and give your family a greeting?
Sounds like a good idea. And she just wonders, just for a moment, if it's better to visit. I think his name was Matthew. Matthew White?
Matthew
The
White.
Camarilla? Yeah, the Camarilla enforcer they met. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, Matthew something.
Yeah, Matthew White.
Yeah, because she's thinking that, like, if we give this evidence to him and be like, listen, we can act now on this and prevent from more masquerade breaches happening, that she could convince him to at least join her and kind of sanction this operation. I feel like that's a logical step to make.
Are you still speaking in character?
No, I'm speaking out of character. I'm just
Okay.
kind of processing the thoughts because she's thinking like they can do this, but like he's a member of the Camarilla, and if she just kills him like outright, that's gonna cause a big issue. So her plan is to probably tell Norman that we still have some time. Remember why I was saying that we might get the go ahead from the Camarilla on this if you are willing to
All right. You
back
and
me up
your.
with evidence as you just told me. Because if I just go ahead and kill him, that's going to cause even more problems. But I feel like we can do this together, and if not, if he says no, I'll just have to face the music and dance. And I will.
You're like living on the edge, I see.
Well,
So you're going up to the prince all the way in Burgo?
oh, no, no, no. And she's going to produce the card from her, uh, well, from the inside of her underwear, probably, because like she's in different clothes now. And because he had given her the card with the address on it, like no contact number, just the address, I think.
Norman looks down and he sees the name and he is like, "Yeah, lady, that's where our paths, go separate ways." He hands the card back. "I ain't dealing with Matthew White.
Oh, why not?
We have a past, and not a good one at that."
I see. Well, would you be able to transfer that video onto my phone so I can show him without you being at the present?
Like I said, unless you have a USB stick on you right now, I'll need to find somewhere with a good connection to send it over the web.
Works for me. You will find that secure place and you leave Matthew and my family to me.
You know what? I really like you, Mumbles. Here. And he tosses a pair of keys at you. Take the ninja. Keep the helmets. Don't
Well,
worry.
I'll be.
And don't worry about the license plates. They're forged. I made sure. I can take the rest on foot from here.
I'll let you know where I parked it.
Ah, don't worry about it. You'll receive it within the coming hours tonight at some point. And yes, I do know your emails and stuff, so.
So he's giving this bike to her, like just. Well, now it feels like I've got to take you on a date later. You know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and she'll hop back over the fence and get to the bike.
All right. And you drive off.
To see Mr. White.
You enter into Marsa Schlock after almost, give or take, a 45-minute ride. It might actually take you less, actually, coming to think of it, maybe in 30 minutes or so.
In the night, yeah. And on a bike. Yeah.
And you come across the address. The buildings are old here, no new apartments or anything of the sort. What do you do?
She'll park the car, the bike, and head to the address and just knock on the door.
You hear the waves crashing against the pier, and the smell of sea salt fills the air. It's more a schlock after all. And
Yeah.
the door opens, and the familiar face of Matthew appears in the darkness. Well, I'll be. It isn't my favorite gangrel. I guess
Y-
you have something interesting. Please come in.
Oh, yeah. And you're not going to like it one bit, and she'll walk in.
It's a very small space. In fact, you kind of immediately enter this very small living room, an old couch with a wooden frame, pillows that are kind of just set on it, one of those hard pillows. No technology, no TV, just paintings of the seaside and seafarers hang up on the wall. You can see that the rooms are separated by a curtain that's from through it you could see a bedroom with one of those old wardrobes, handcrafted. I would offer you something, but unfortunately I've got nothing to offer you.
That is all right. I already had my fair taste of blood this evening.
Oh, I see. He
Right.
sits down with a squeak. You can hear the
Yeah.
old springs and the wooden frame just. And he
Yeah.
gestures to sit down across him
Yeah.
on the
She'll
same
sit down.
sofa.
Yeah.
He.
Elbows on the knees, hands interlocked, like hands and fingers interlocked. Like she looks like she's about to like give him the worst news of his life.
He seems cool and casual. He actually stretches one arm towards you, just onto the back of it, and crosses one leg on top of the other, and leans his head towards you. He's like, "So, tell me, what news do you bring?"
Me and my other coterie mate got jumped by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Inquisition hunters this evening in St. Julian's. And they weren't going to ask us for a cup of tea. They tried to kill us in the broad moonlight, and things went really, really bad. The masquerade's been breached,
Oh dear.
and that's not even the worst what I'm going to tell you about it. The Baron is dead, killed by a Camarilla and Sabbat double agent that came to kidnap one of my coterie members. At least he is, taken care of and in captivity. I sincerely hope that my coterie members are trying to contain the breach that happened. I had a little chat and found out all the nice, lucrative business that Mark's been getting up to with our Second Inquisition folk. How much do you know about Project Twilight?
Right. All of this just gave me a big headache, Mambas. Slow down. Let's start with, before you ask any questions, how, what? He laughs to himself and he's like, wow, you guys are in a bit of a pickle indeed. Right, so Masquerade Breach, that's really, like, I almost stopped hearing everything else after that, to be honest, almost. But
I understand.
Baron dead, that's not good news for you. Inquisition jumping on you guys. Now that is a problem we need to look at for sure. And what was the question again?
How much do you know about Mark leading a project called Project Twilight?
Well, I didn't know he gave the project a name. That's, but I'm guessing you're
Well,
talking about the serum situation.
yes, and how he's together working with the Inquisition to kidnap visiting kindred newcomers to involuntarily be turned into fucking crystals.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm here. And he is. So far, most of the things are alleged. Not, we have no proof. It's kind of. We had this discussion. It's.
Right, but here's the kicker. I know somebody who's got footage. I know somebody who's helped me turn the turn our noses into the right direction. The fact that Mark has already tried before to make all the mortals on Malta beware of kindred's existence. And actually, Miles, you remember, the one with me, had actually helped to stop this plan. And now he's doing it all over again. We gave you the evidence of him trying to orchestrate a kindred murder, telling mortals he is the Baron of Valletta. And what else is there? Right, the shooting of Frank's club after he had offered him to rule Pieta, and we said no. And I remember, perhaps incorrectly so, you telling me that this Inquisition is under the impression that it was the Anarchs who broke the peace treaty first.
Let me just bring
Whispering it
you up
again,
to.
Matthew.
Let me just bring you up to speed with what happened from that night. Now it's been a night, and Mark was called into questioning by the prince, and long story short, we excommunicated him. So yeah, I mean,
Does that mean,
but he did.
hypothetically,
Yeah.
if someone gets rid of him, the Camarilla will not retaliate?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still uh, there's still more that we need to solve, to be honest. And Mark will be questioned again once we have the relevant evidence to his case. But yeah, I mean, from my understanding, how things go, but I might be wrong. If anything happens to Mark at this point, Cameron won't retaliate. The prince might not like it because he does want to get things back under control, especially when it comes to the Inquisition, and wants to rebuild that treaty.
Right, and that's gonna be much easier when we do not have someone agitating them and also actively encourage them to kill kindred. The reason why I'm here is because I've got a good feeling about you, and I trust my instinct. You, my coterie, and some other kindred on this island want to just live their lives, and he is just throwing all sorts of spanners into these wheels, trying to expose us. If you, at the very least, would not interfere in Mark being removed from the board, at the very most, maybe send a helping hand, that is going to happen tonight.
Excuse me, did you just say tonight? He kind of lifts himself off the couch, leaning forward towards you. That's rather soon.
Well, I'm tired of waiting for these men to twiddle their thumbs and do nothing while Malta's going to the fucking dogs.
Are you meaning to end, Mark? Is that what you were suggesting earlier, though?
Oh, most definitely.
Alright, I need to stop you right there. Hold on. He gets off, turns around. Look, let me go talk to the prince. Tell him about what you just told me. I'm hoping that you have evidence to back this up. Because we could torch the fucker tonight. The
You were
traditional.
lagging a bit. I didn't hear what you were saying.
We could torch the fucker tonight.
Yeah, just a bit further back.
Right.
Sorry.
So he gets up from the
Yeah.
couch, turns towards you, and he says, well, if you intend to do that, we could torch the fucker tonight, but we can do it the traditional way. If you
Okay.
have the evidence that would bring him to proper justice by our laws, then we can do this without worrying for retaliation, without worrying upsetting the prince, or anyone else for that matter. But you have to have the evidence. All I'm asking is if you all you need to do is just stake him at best and wait for the prince to arrive on the scene. And you show him the evidence and you know the the sentence will be done there and then.
It is like you were saying, though, Matthew. All the lines and dots are connecting, but physical proof aside from the recording that me and Miles played you, aside from knowing he's done this before, aside from there being videotape proof of the Second Inquisition killing kindred for the crystals, aside from
Hold on, wait. You're rushing. The only proof I have is that recording you gave me, which
exactly,
only all we hear is this human saying that he's been assigned to kill and make it show that it's kindred apart from other plants. But again, it's not enough. It's deemed hearsay almost. And again, it is very much just allegedly being done. We need the rest of the evidence. We need to know with hard proof. And if you're saying there's footage, please provide it. Because that
it is
will.
it's the footage of the deaths. And if you just and she will take out the burner phone and she will actually text Norman like, do you have physical proof of connection between M, Project Twilight, and Second Inquisition, or SI question mark? And when she sends the text, she will say, if I can get you physical proof of Mark being connected to this Project Twilight and working together with the Inquisition to kill Kindred, would that be enough?
Yeah, of course. That immediately puts him, you know, it puts him into the guilty box, and we just light that fucker up.
Right,
The prince would have personal satisfaction doing that,
right.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so she sends that text because she's kind of feeling like she understands what's happening, but like Matthew, she's realizing that there's not actually any tangible proof. So she's asking Norman. If he says no, then maybe we'll see what happens then.
Norman replies back to the text saying, "Yeah, I've got it. What I've shown you, and maybe more."
Right. So, Matthew, I have an associate who did not necessarily want to meet you because there is bad blood.
Bad bloods? That's a pun,
Right.
right?
Well, perhaps, perhaps not, but he is the one who's got the proof, and whatever may have happened between the two of you, if you can't put that aside, we can do things your way.
If I may ask who this individual is, he kind of, you know,
Norman, Nosferatu.
I should have known. That rat seems to be in every corner. Okay,
Well,
I'll tell you
just
what. I won't. And he kind of stretches his muscles. As much as every bit of me wants to tear him limb by limb, I'll make you a deal that I will not get my personal feelings involved in the matter. Keep it professional. And yeah, sure, he can bring the evidence, but after that, he either goes back into whatever hole he crawled out of, or I'm having my way with him.
we will discuss the evidence once there's no further need for Norman's presence. He will leave, and the two of us will discuss what we will do next. That makes sense, I think.
You sell a hard bargain, but yeah.
We all want things to. I. As much as it feels cramped here on this island, I like living here and I don't want to leave.
Well, I can't wait to leave. So the sooner we get this over with, the faster I get off this island.
Then, do we have a deal? And she will extend her hand.
Deal.
Cool. She's gonna call Norman on the burner phone.
He picks up. Hey, still getting to one of my havens. What's going on?
Right. We're going to go to a neutral as we can location. And you, me, and Matthew White are going to have a little chat. And he has given me his word that for the duration of our meeting and for the duration of you giving the evidence to put this fucker down, he will put his personal feelings aside. And if he doesn't, you know, we outnumber him. She kind of gives him like a little
You see Matthew kind of look at you and he smiles. Norman uneasily says, "Oh, well, fine. I'm trusting you, Mumbles."
And I will do my best to back up that trust. Name the location. We will be with you.
Neutral location, eh? There's only one neutral location, and that's Mosta. I'll send you the address. Meet me there in the next. Oh, fuck. That's gonna take me a while. Right, I would say give me another hour and I'll be there.
Fantastic. Mustard is, Mr. White.
Yeah, the only location that there's no kindred. Interesting. Alright, would you like to pop into my car or do you have your own ride?
I have my own vehicle.
Alright, do you have an address?
She will wait for a little bzz bzz or ding. I should have in a couple of moments.
Right. He kind of sits back down on the couch, not as relaxed as he was, though. He's kind of sitting upright, hands clenched together. Whew, Norman, eh? I gotta admit, I never thought he'd be any part of this.
Right. Well, neither did I. But you know what? I'm tired of just living here. It's time to get some shit done. That is what I was made for.
I guess we're all made with a purpose.
Indeed.
Irony in that, I would say. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Do you ever feel like, despite that we live forever, that we're not quite free? We're caught in another web of we obey anyone who holds the, you know, the lashing to our backs.
Yeah, Mama's just gonna take off her sunglasses and she says, "Well, Mr. White, I was never free to begin with, so I'm really the wrong woman to ask."
He kind of leans forward and kind of moves your hair aside. It's like, I can see it in your eyes.
Now, shall we be off?
Do you have the address?
She'll check her phone.
You do have the address.
Yes, I do, and she'll show it to him.
All right, give me a second. He brings out a pen and paper and copies the address down. I guess we'll talk there.
We will.
As you,
Drive safely now.
yeah, try not to hit my car again. He opens the door and gestures like a gentleman to lead you out.
Yeah. She'll nod and walk out,
Slams the
hood
door.
back up
Yeah.
on the bike.
Slams the door behind you, and he kind of walks up the roads, clicking his key, and a car pops, and he goes in. He puts down the window, and he's looking at you as you drive off, and he kind of makes his way behind you.
Yeah.
All right. Alright, so compressing time, you get to the location, and it's in one of these many side streets. It's not in the main part of Mosta. And you see a very anxious Norman kind of pacing in front
Yeah.
of the building, and he sees you both, and without even saying a word or gesturing hi, he just unlocks the door to these apartments, and he looks back and he just gestures the number 3 as he walks up inside. Mark, sorry,
Matthew.
Matthew. Matthew is walking up the road, sees you, and he kind of waves. It's like, ah, well, I managed to catch up to you at least, or were you taking it slow on me?
A lady never tells, and she bookends to like, come on, third floor or third apartment.
All right, here we go. I'm guessing he's already here.
Yeah.
All right, you walk into a narrow corridor. Matthew closes the main door behind him, and he follows you to the third floor. The door is ajar as you're hearing frenetic keyboards typing inside and Norman muttering under his breath something.
Yeah.
As you walk in and you see Norman just typing away at his
Yeah.
keyboard, clicking the mouse pads, he looks up, is like, right. He swings the laptop round, and there's many pop-ups open with various videotapes, pictures, some over each other. Like, that's everything.
Yeah. So mom just gonna walk closer, so she's kind of like standing. If Norman is like standing facing them, she's kind of like off to the side. So she's kind of in between Norman and Matthew, like just in case, and she's kind of just looks like,
As he sees Matthew walk in, Norman kind of just backs up against the counter
right.
of the open plan kitchen.
Yeah.
The computer is set on an island, where.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah. You have a living room space which you just came through, and Norman's just there, like hands crossed,
Yeah.
and just standing silent. Matthew walks in and says, "I'm guessing this is it."
Indeed. Have a look.
Right. Yeah, I. Wow. Okay.
Mama's is also kind of like peering just to see like if she's seeing anything new from what
Oh yeah,
Norman had showed her.
you see a couple of other things that Norman hasn't showed you. Okay, I think that's. Yeah, there's Mark. Where is this location where the serum is being done? Norman from the back kind of just says, "Area." Ah, so right under. Okay. Well, you've always been good at what you do, Norman. I can't say that I'm not impressed. Is there any way how we can get this shown to the prince? Norman kind of shrugs and is like, well, unless you got a pen drive or a disc I can burn on, which is the best way I can give it to you. I was gonna send everything to Mumbles here, so Matthew gestures round, looking at you. Is like, well, can he send it to you, and you show this off? I don't think Norman would like it if we took his laptop.
Yeah, that's possible. Like Mama's like she's got a mobile that can like save things like this, and she does have a computer. So and email accounts just to pretend you're a normal human. Because if you are a human and you don't have a social media or you don't have an email address, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
So like she's got stuff like this.
Norman moves forward, rotates the laptop back at him, and he starts typing away, clicking again. Things should be uploaded to your drive, your cloud. And the next.
Yeah.
You got another 2 hours before all of this is completed. So I'm gonna stay here for that long to make sure everything's done.
Sounds good. Mumbles will look at the time on her phone. How much time until her family gets here?
You're looking at around 2 hours and a half.
Right. So, I've got something else that I would like to share, Matthew. Me and my coterie are taking Pieta.
Okay.
I think it is, first of all, a territory from a baron who's helped Mark do these things. And remember that chat we had about things going back to normal? Me and my coterie will ensure that happens. And I've got some family on the way who are going to help us ensure to do just that. But they're going to be here earlier than this data transfer. So the question is, are you happy to talk with the prince now, or will you come join me and put Mark in timeout?
Actually, I have a better idea. For myself, that is.
Oh,
I'll fetch the prince, and I'll meet you at the. Well, at the Pieta location with the prince. And we'll handle Mark there together. That will give enough time, I think, for me to explain everything to the prince and bring him up to speed. And that will give enough time for the data to be on your phone. So that way, when we've got all the pieces set on the board, we can just move forward with things. How about that?
wonderful. And then I can get my family situated once our business is concluded.
All right. He looks over to the Nosferatu and he's like, I'm a man of my words and I'm gonna leave now. And he exits.
Yeah.
And then you see Norman kind of flip him off from the back. Is like,
Right. I think that went well. I appreciate this, Norman. And whilst we have already discussed strings tied, my hospitality will always stand, and should you like something in return at a later date, I will not object unless you make it a ridiculous wish. Until next time.
yeah, until next time, Mumbles.
And she'll exit as well. And she will grab her phone and text the number that had also told her ETA 5 hours. She will text back Might not be able to pick you up. Rendezvous at this address. It's a tiny island. You will find your way.
All right. And we will end the session here.
Yes. Nice.